Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Toni Heath.
This is Burn Noticed, a podcast about Burn Noticed, which is a podcast about the show Burn Notice. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, I think they got it.
My chair's so squeaky. I'm sorry.
Unreasonably loud.
Today we're going to be talking about the third episode of Burn Noticed, which is about the third episode of Burn Notice, which is called...
Fight or Flight?
Fight or Flight, yes.
I don't have that written down anywhere. I just remembered it.
Good on you, because I completely forgot. And I have to say, first off, when I started listening to this episode, I was like, shit, I don't remember anything about this episode. I had watched it last Tuesday, actually. So.
I don't remember anything about it either, because I did not watch it.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you want to dive into it?
Yeah, let's see. Well, first of all, I want to say that this being the third episode, we got confirmation of what I posited last episode, which is that I think Bri and Chris are swapping who hosts, and
yes.
They are.
I've actually gotten a confirmation from Chris himself.
Well, that's cheating.
Well, no, I mean, I didn't ask. He just told me.
So, we have actual confirmation from listening to the podcast that is what's happening. They're swapping who hosts it every time. This is a Bri-hosted episode.
Yes, Bri and Chris are swapping. They are swappers.
So,
they are into swapping.
Here...
It's a sex thing, right?
It is not. Here is my recounting of the plot. You can hear my notes.
Yes. This is what we do. Toni recounts the plot based on what she has gleaned.
Can I do it?
From Burn Noticed.
1. He goes to a spy convention. I know it's not really a spy convention, but it sounds like it might as well have just been a convention for spies.
You know, when I watched it, I thought it was.
He goes in there, steals a file with the name of a guy on it, and I think this guy is the Egyptian spy who he saves from having his name on the file. He uses that to save him, and the Egyptian spy thanks him by giving him a burn clue. A clue to why he was burned.
You know, I don't know. Sure.
You don't know. That's what I have down, and now this part kind of relies on you giving me, external confirmation of how close I got.
I mean, honestly, I don't remember what happened in the episode.
Great! This is going great.
I'm also going by what they said in the podcast. They did talk about this scene for a very long time.
They did, but it also didn't seem that important. I do have written down, too, that I think the reason why he got burned is that he's just not a very good spy. It sounds like he just walks into places and is like, hello, I'm Michael Weston, I'm a spy. Please stop being mean to this child. Okay, goodbye. Because that's the other part. That's the other thing that happens.
He tells someone to stop being mean to a child?
Yeah. So, the case of this episode is that he's trying to stop a mom and a daughter from being assassinated for reasons that I didn't pay attention to, but they're definitely given in the podcast.
They witnessed a crime.
Sure, but the daughter doesn't super care and is really poorly written and is whiny. This has something to do with him getting a car and free rent.
What?
He needs to get a car.
He doesn't have a car.
He doesn't have a car.
Everybody wants him to get a car.
But he does have a car. It's his dad's car, and he has daddy issues because his dad was abusive. Got all that. Check. Got it.
And the guy who has told
I don't know what any of this has to do with... he took the case so he could get free rent, but I don't know why taking the case gets him free rent, but he needs to get free rent because all of the assets have been frozen.
Well, the reason it's going to get him free rent is because the woman that witnessed the crime works for his landlord at the club.
So anyway, the way that he solves this case is 1, by asking them to stop, it seems like. 2, he fakes a tape where the bad guy says he is a bad guy and then gives that tape to his FBI tail. And the FBI is like, oh man, that guy's a bad guy, and stops him.
Correct.
Okay, got it, nailed it, that's all I have.
I mean, that's fair.
Great.
I mean, I would argue there was some more stuff about his dad that...
Yeah, but the stuff about his dad wasn't it seemed like it happened... It wasn't it didn't feel like it was tied to the plot of it didn't pushing things forward, and so I don't write those things down.
You didn't even mention the prom at all.
I'll get to it because that's one of the things that I have a lot of things that I'm very angry about and I want to talk about. I've got a lot of opinions. Let me ask you this: do you have any top podcast moments?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I thought this was a good episode, but I didn't write down any specific moments.
I think Bri made a joke about somebody wanting the D in Burn Noticed.
That was a great joke.
It was a really good joke, and it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was appreciated in the episode. So I just want to say right now, I appreciate it. It was a good joke.
Yeah, there was a lot of good goofs this one.
Okay, now that I got that out of the way, I would like to get to the list of things that I am mad about. I think you know what number 1 is. I think everyone knows what number 1 is.
Yeah, I knew this was going to happen immediately.
Going outside is good. Being outside is nice.
Yeah, I used to be on Team Chris and Bri, and still am somewhat, but we now have a back porch.
Screened in.
So
no bugs. Bugs. That already eliminates Chris's biggest complaint, right? There's no so you're enjoying all the great outdoorsness, but the bugs are gone.
It's very relaxing, and there's fresh air, and you get to eat, and the wind blows through your hair, and it's nice. And I think part of the problem, specifically with Chris, I don't know necessarily about Bri, they kind of live or have lived in sort of like
places
I feel like
that smell.
Yes.
I've been to big cities. They stink like garbage.
Also, I think
you can fight me about it if you want, but that's just the truth.
I also think they're more extreme in temperatures.
Oh,
I feel like Texas is probably like hot all the time, and like New York is probably just New York all the time, whatever that entails. Be it smelling like
also urine. Yes.
Yeah.
Garbage and urine together. And urine,
which is a great combo.
Mm-hmm.
You go to New York and you order the garbage and urine combo, and you get a rat smoothie on the side.
If anyone's listening to this podcast, we're probably making people very angry. But you're fine.
But I feel like if you're like where we're at, there are times when things aren't so extreme. So you can go outside and it's fine.
Have you ever just like sat outside on the porch just to listen to the rain?
I mean, no, not really, but...
You've done it because I've asked you to.
Yeah, I don't super get that. But, I mean, it's alright. It's fine.
But, like, since we moved into our house...
It's not the worst. It's not something that I'd be like, no, never.
And got our screened-in porch. We have been eating, like, every single dinner on the porch. And then we sit...
And breakfast.
And then we sit and we play cards. And it's very nice. And there are no bugs. Although I'm also the type of person who will just lay in the grass.
Yeah. Chris and Bri, I'm going to offer up something here. I say you two should come out here, go to our porch, eat some food, play some card games, have some fun.
I'll teach you guys how to play Scopa. Well, Chris already knows how to play Scopa.
Yeah, we will show you how nice it is out here. So
that was number
outside.
1 of things I am mad about. Number 2, Chris mentions how bad the music of Burn Notice is. And this is something that I know because I was going to try and make a theme song for our podcast.
I wound up doing it.
And it's fine.
It's not great.
It's fine.
It's just every other beat removed.
My idea was that I was going to go and I was going to try and like recreate the theme song or like the feel of the theme song with like garage band loops as best I could. It's a fine concept if you know what you're doing, if you like know anything about music, and I don't. But like I listened to the Burn Notice theme song and it's already like all of garage band loops vomited up.
Also, you listen to the wrong theme, like you listen to the wrong piece of music the first time. You're like, I've been working on this and this is... And I was like, what are you...
Yeah, because I just put Burn Notice theme into music and some random-ass video popped up and that wasn't the Burn Notice theme song.
You know what happened? They put it up. I think it got hit with, like, an audio copyright notice, and then they just used the, like, YouTube replace thing. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
My point is that I've listened to the theme song, and it's just like a billion loops that play on top of each other with no care for how they relate to each other. It's very bad.
Yeah, I can't even remember the music, but I'm pretty sure it's bad. I remember it being like...
Just listen to it.
I mean, like, I'm talking about, like, not just the theme, but, like, incidental music. It's just, like, porn guitars, basically, so... That's Seinfeld, but, yeah. Seinfeld, but in Florida.
Okay, so the other thing that I'm mad about... Mad isn't really the right word, but I think it was something that kind of got touched on in this episode of the podcast that I've always found really interesting. In the episode of Burn Notice that they watched, we have apparently an atrociously written female character, and it sounds like maybe writing female characters isn't this show's strong suit. Like, the main female character, even though she gets to blow shit up, it sounds like her main thing is that she wants to bone Michael, and that's like her... She blows shit up, she wants to bone Michael. That's who she is as a person. But I am specifically talking about the daughter, right?
Also, I want to just jump in here real quick and say the mom is pretty terribly written as well, too. Because she just keeps talking about, like, how great his dad is, even though he's clearly an abusive asshole. Yes, continue. The daughter.
The daughter, what I gathered from the episode of the podcast is that she's written as, like, very much this vapid teen, like, so much so to the point that she is unbelievable as a human person. What I think was interesting in the podcast is there was a point where Bri was talking about it, and there was, like, something where she was like, and I don't blame her, the character, for this, because, like, actually what she did was justified. But what I think is actually really interesting about that is there is this tendency when you criticize, like, poorly written female characters, the person who takes the brunt of that criticism is not the writer, right? If you criticize a female character, the person who takes the brunt of that criticism is the female character. Like, they personally did something wrong, which they didn't, because they're not real. Someone wrote them that way. It's something that I've noticed that we talk, like, around in our Doctor Who podcast a lot.
The Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon.
The Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon. Where especially, you know, in some of, like, the earlier things, we'll say, oh, that character could have been really great, but she didn't get enough to do, or she wasn't written really well in this one. Like, there's some
yelly companions.
There's some yelly companions, but there are companions who, like, you see them written at their best, and then you see them written from somebody who, like, doesn't know what they're doing with them. And all of a sudden, this character who, like, is very capable is all of a sudden, like, yelly and all, you know, emotionally all over the place. Because I know there have been times in the podcast where we have been like, we didn't dislike this character. We disliked the way she was written. Because you don't want to say, like, this female character is so annoying and I hated her.
And I feel like in a Doctor Who, there is a lot of times that the companion is like, specifically female companions, are like acting as much as they can despite what they've been given. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're overcoming the shitty writing just through pure, like, will.
But I made a note of that just because I've always thought that was very interesting. Is Bri worded it very similar to, I think, how we have on our podcast before, of like, what this character is doing doesn't make any sense because she's being written in a way that human beings just don't act.
I agree with you about the being, like, poorly written female character, but not only that, but it's also like a double whammy of a poorly written teen character, which is clearly like just an old white guy writing like,
this is how teens are.
Teens act. Oh, they care about the prom.
I also think
nonsense.
The idea of, like, the thematic idea in the episode that, like, Michael Weston's interacting with a kid, so now he's, like, standing in for that kid's dad, is, like, a very weird concept to me. Specifically, I think because, like, I just had this conversation with somebody in real life, somebody I know who was hanging out with somebody's kids, and they're like, I'm like their dad now. And it's like, nah, you're just, like, an adult dude who, like, knows somebody who has kids. You don't have to be everyone's dad.
You can be a positive, like, role model, but you don't have to be their dad.
Yeah, it's very weird for me anytime, like I kind of thought it was weird in Spider-Man. Oh, actually, it was cute in Spider-Man. Because at the end, he was just like, do I want to be a dad? And he wasn't, like, weirdly trying to be somebody's dad just because they were younger than him.
Who?
Spider-Man, there's a whole subplot about Peter Parker not wanting to be a dad because he's not ready. And then at the end...
Oh, you mean... Okay, wait, you gotta clarify. There's been like 1700... Spider-Verse.
Sorry.
Okay, my mind was thinking Far From Home.
Yeah, that's my bad. I should have clarified which Spider-Man I was talking about.
Yeah, I was like, wait, Spider-Man wants to be a dad in that one? Pretty sure he's just... There is some daddy issues in Far From Home. What with Tony Stark and what have you.
That's true.
But... Man, daddy issues just be everywhere. Also, this is the second in 3 episodes that Michael Weston has had to interact with a child. Is that just every episode? Or just every other episode? Is this like a every other Star Trek is good sort of rule? Every other episode Michael has to deal with a kid?
I don't know. We're only on episode 3. I guess we'll find out.
Episode 5.
I have one other note in the vein of things that I'm angry about. Chris Cherry is banned from the word daddy. Forever, please. Thank you. I would like for us...
Now, Chris, you live your truth.
But only if it means you never say the word daddy ever again. Please and thank you.
Chris, you can say daddy. It's fine.
No.
You can call me daddy. You can call Toni daddy.
Please
you can call
do
Bri
not.
daddy. You can call whoever you want daddy. Daddy.
Okay, you are also now banned from the word daddy.
Can I call Chris my daddy?
No.
Because I think of him like that sometimes.
Don't.
I'm like, he's like a good mentor. I wish he was my daddy. Wait, is there another connotation of that word?
Banned for life. Okay? Banned.
Hey, Toni, can you be my daddy?
This It was, like, very quickly falling into the same. There was another, apparently, like, gratuitous shot of feet. And every time it's described, I'm like, nope, no thank you.
Can I talk about a weird side thing about feet for a second?
God, no. But you're going to.
I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I've heard of, I've seen all Quentin Tarantino's movies, and I've heard he's got a foot fetish thing. And I've, like, never really noticed it before, but my God, it's a thing. There's one shot in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where it's literally just, like, 9 pairs of feet in the shot. And that's all it is. It's that, and they're all watching TV. And it's just a bunch of feet. And I was like, oh my God, I guess it's true.
I hate it in, like, the context of, like, I don't care what anybody does, right? I hate it in the context of, like, a TV show or a movie where you're, like, somebody's engineered a situation with, like, people whose it's their job to do things. You have engineered a situation to satisfy your fetish. Stop. Yuck. Don't do that. That's not what those people are there for.
It was really bad. It's really bad. It's really bad in this thing, too. Yeah, it is the second time they've introduced her via her feet.
Okay. Well, I don't need that in my life, so we're gonna not talk about it
anymore.
I'm
having, like, a real issue with feet right now anyway. I think I might have gout, so...
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, my toe's all fucked up. You guys, someone told me I should drink cherry juice.
You should.
Hey, Cherry Daddy, could you give me some cherry juice?
I'm going to fucking leave right now. I can't believe, like, I saw all the setup, and I saw it all happening, and I did nothing to stop it.
So, we got any other notes, or what's going on? Let's move past the feet.
We're supposed to answer any questions that Bri and Chris might have asked in the podcast, but I don't think they did.
Well, I do actually have something I want to settle. Bruce Campbell definitely drinks yogurt straight from a cup. It's weird. It happens. It's yogurt. So they were uncertain about it.
And
Chris was more certain about it. But
you remember?
Yeah, it's definitely.
You didn't
yogurt.
remember, like, the plot or anything. I was talking the whole beginning plot, and you were like, I don't know, but you know for a fact.
Yeah, because Bruce Campbell's chugging some yogurt, and it's weird. Not even, like, in a normal way. I mean, he's got, like, a little yogurt. He's like, "Bloop, bloop, bloop."
How do you know it's yogurt if it was in a cup?
I mean, it's in the yogurt cup. It's in the not in a cup.
I got
It's
you.
in the yogurt container. He peels the top off, and he just chugs it. And, like, bloop, bloop, bloop.
It's disgusting.
It's weird. And everybody's staring at him like, what the hell? Do you not know how to eat yogurt?
We haven't talked about yogurt in this podcast, but it actually features very heavily in Burn, Notice.
Yeah, it's like pineapples and psych.
That I knew it was a thing. Like, they kept talking about it and bringing it up about, like, him eating yogurt. But to say specifically that it's like pineapples and psych, like, that gives it a very specific context that I understand.
Pineapples and psych, yogurt and Burn Notice, sexual fetishes in Burn, Notice.
That's all I have. Oh, no, that's not all I have. Something very important happened in this episode of Burn, Notice.
What's that?
Bri and Chris had a dynamic shift.
They also discuss their dynamic a lot. Like, right at the top, they just immediately start diving into what their dynamic is. Like, and they're like, this is what our dynamic is. They, like, start off the episode that way, and I was like, that's interesting. They are defining their dynamic.
They're defining it and then immediately go against it, because Chris is defending the cold open, and Bri is talking about how bad the cold open is.
That's true, which is what we would expect, the flip-flop.
Yeah, and the flip-flopped version of that. And then later, I think Chris is arguing for something, and I don't remember specifically what, but I do remember that he says the phrase devil's advocate.
I don't remember what it was about either, but yeah, I think it might have been something about the daughter. But yeah, that's true. It's a dynamic flip.
So there was a lot of Chris defending this episode, and Bri talking about how bad it was.
I mean, there was also the reverse of that as well.
Right.
The only thing they agree on is spark plugs. Which, if you haven't listened to their episode, me just saying spark plugs
means nothing.
Means nothing.
There's a moment involving spark plugs that it sounds like, was pretty decent writing. I thought this was going to be a long one because I was like, I've got so much to talk about.
Not only do they discuss their dynamic, they also, like, discuss their rules a bit and are uncertain about their rules, which we are uncertain about our rules.
I had this thing that I wanted. So, like, I think our rules about what makes a great podcast are solid. I think our rules about what make a great episode of Burn, Noticed.
That's where we get in the weeds a bit.
And I think I kind of want to enact the pornography rule. Yeah, I'll know it in my heart when I see it.
Okay.
When I hear it.
All right. Are you saying like if they mention feet and
No.
daddy?
Have you never? I can't define pornography, but I know it when I see it. That's a legal thing.
Okay. I've never heard that before, but okay.
It's definitely a for real thing that you should Google later, so you know I'm not making shit up.
Just reminded of it just weirdly reminds me of an Idris Elba story about a production company he started, I think called Behind the Green Door or something like that, which was based on an experimental porn film that had like a 3-minute orgasm scene, and he's like, the reason he named his production company after that is because it was a long time coming.
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. You're just talking about pornography, and that story popped in my head. And I just wanted to tell you that because it was a really funny joke.
We're doing a completely different thing here right now.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry. It was just on my brain.
You are in a very specific headspace today, and it's frankly uncomfortable for me.
I'm sorry, Daddy.
Very bad. It's so bad. My point is that there's a part of me that wants to say, what makes a great episode of Burn Notice? I'll feel it in my heart.
Okay, I do like this the second thing though. I think that's fine.
I think we're gonna go through it. So let's go through it. Was this episode of Burn, Notice a great episode of a podcast? Did it change how I think about something? No.
No?
Did it make me cry? No. Did it make me laugh? Chuckles, but that's it. And as we've already stated, chuckling does not count. Is not a qualifying criteria.
I mean, that's probably fair. I enjoyed this episode a lot though, so I feel like I laughed. I laughed. I don't remember when.
You're too soft on
I'm too
this.
soft on it.
Your judgment is being affected, I think.
I mean, that's probably fair.
But
I feel like every episode's gotten progressively better, but I don't know.
I absolutely agree with that.
So I don't know.
But I think a great episode of a podcast has to be a high bar.
Did it make me cry?
Did it make you cry?
No.
Did it change how you think about something?
No. I had to think about it for a second.
But no. Mm-mm. You are the same person you were after listening to it than you were before listening to it.
Maybe it changed my perception of Bri and Chris just a little bit because they did go against their dynamic.
No, you can't use that because that's a different criteria, and you can't use it to...
I mean, it changed the way I perceived Bri and Chris.
No, because is it a great episode of Burn, Notice? Did Chris and Bri experience a dynamic shift? Is a criterion we have.
Well, I thought we changed that to just... This is the one we've been the most, confusing on, because it's a dynamic shift, or it's, there's a good example of their dynamic.
Which, I mean, this one meets both of those.
Yeah.
Both.
Okay, so cool.
I feel like I know what happened in the episode of Burn Notice. I do.
Yeah, I feel like you got it pretty well. You didn't as extensive a recap as I would have liked, because, I feel like you left off some big plot points and just kind of breezed over them. You kind of skipped over the emotional resolution of the episode.
The emotional beats of the episode.
You left out basically the thing that is you left out the prom, and I feel like that was a major scene. I
had it written down somewhere. I mean, but also nothing particular. Nothing really happens at the prom.
They have a big, dramatic conversation with each other. That's talking about the themes of
parenting,
relationships,
which again is weird because he is not that person's parent. He is just a random guy.
Yeah, but yeah, I would say you do know what happened in the episode of Burn Notice, and I feel like we forgot to rate them on their recap, but they did good. They did a good job too.
I am entertained for the duration of the podcast.
Yeah.
See, and I think with the criteria we have set, that is a good episode of Burn, Notice. And I want, is it a great episode
of Burn, Notice?
Burn, Notice. It's a great episode if I feel it in my heart. We can keep trying to workshop these.
It's a good episode of Burn Notice. It's solid, but it's not an exceptional. There's nothing that it does what it says on the tin, but there's nothing holy shit about it.
But if it's holy shit is a great episode of a podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Right.
I mean, we got 2 out of 3 here. Do we want to go ahead and say it needs to have 3 out of 3?
2 out of 3 is good. 3 out of 3
3 out of 3 is great. I like that. Yes. I feel confident and comfortable with this
actually, we said 3 out of 3.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Well, I don't know how much I would say 3 holds true for me. I was entertained throughout the duration of the podcast. I kind of did that thing where, zone in and out a little here and there. I was like, oh shoot, I am listening to things. I forgot. I got more wrapped up in what I was doing than what I was listening to. It's pretty close, I'd say. Maybe for you it was great.
Yeah, I'd say it was great for me.
Alright.
Was it great for you, Daddy?
Not... Banned. Forbidden. Please. Please.
I think that's what our fan base should be called, is daddies. Burn daddies.
Burn daddies! Fuck. I'm so...
Keep it real out there, you burn daddies.
Well, I got nothing.
Alright, are we done?
I'm not gonna say anything better than burn daddies, so yeah.
Alright, cool. Also, it is an episode of a podcast. That's if it doesn't meet any of the other criteria. It's just an episode of a podcast. But it is an episode of a podcast, but it's much more than that, too.
It's much more than that. It's a good, some might even say great, episode of Burn, Noticed. I can say that no other way now.
Burn, Noticed.
Burn, Noticed.
But that's it. That's all we got. Thanks for listening. This has been Burn, Noticed?
Burn, Noticed.
And Burn Noticed? Burn, Noticed. You've been noticed. Burn.
So bad. No, I can't even do my sign out because now it feels dirty.
Just say goodbye, you burn daddies. Come on, I want to hear you say it.
I really don't. Goodbye. Forever. I'm never coming back. The podcast is over. 3
episodes. We did it. The end. That was our trilogy. You won't say goodbye, burn daddies?
Please. Please.
I can't end the podcast until you say it. I don't know. It's really weird. It says it right there in Audacity.
This is coercion. And I don't appreciate it. Do you know what it makes me think of?
What?
There's a character that says Bone Daddy in,
Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yep. He calls,
Jack Skellington?
What the fuck? Yeah, he calls Jack Skellington Bone Daddy. You say it the exact same way.
Burn Daddy?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was subconsciously referencing.
That's where it was from.
Will you say goodbye, Bone Daddy?
Yeah, goodbye, Bone Daddy.
Good enough.
I fucking hate it.
Bye.